All right, Jazz behind the camera, he's gonna ask me 10 questions in 5 minutes. If you don't know who I am, my name is Katkov. I'm the founder of UofTearless. Back in 2024, I went from my lowest grade ever, a 37%, to the top 4% of all first-year psychology students at my university, while only studying 2 hours a day across all of my classes. I've got my watch here set for a 30-second timer. Let's do this.
Let's say you have a midterm worth 20%. When would you start studying to retain the most amount of information?
I would always recommend giving at least 72 hours to any midterm, especially if it's worth 20% or more. After 20%, you'd probably want an extra day for every 5%. So 25 would be 4 days, 30% would be 5 days.
What do you do when you get absolutely frustrated and mentally blocked because you have an exam that you just didn't study for?
The reason you probably feel bad about yourself is because you haven't done the work. And so I think the only way to solve that, and in my experience, the only way that I have solved that, is literally just to sit down and do the work. Because when you're doing the work, you're thinking about what the work is, not about doing the work and not about doing other things. You're in the task. So I think that's probably the easiest way to not beat yourself up about things. And you're doing the thing that's most important.
Do you know any way that I can study faster, learn faster, read faster, consume information more efficiently, and possibly explain things in a better way?
There's a few things you can do to learn faster. One of them is you can learn to speed read. So that will help with taking in information to learn. Another thing that you can do is find ways to find the information faster. So Google and AI is now a brilliant way to do that much faster. And then the third thing is your actual rate of learning.
How much sleep do you need before an exam to actually do well on it? Because sometimes I don't have the luxury to sleep, but I still do well. How much of an effect does sleep have on exam performance?
I would say at a minimum, humans should not sleep less than 6 hours a night. Even efficient sleepers, who are people that can have no negative side effects and sleep around 5 hours a night, that's pretty exceptional. 8 hours is an average, but it's individual. I need 9.
If you have an exam that is coming up, when do you stop studying for that exam? Do you keep the last hour for you to go have a walk and relax, or do you actually study till the last minute?
There's a huge advantage to having things in short-term memory and rehearsing them as you go into the exam. I usually do a review about an hour before that's around 20 minutes long, and then I take a nap, and then right before I go into the exam, a 5-minute cram session to go through all the things that I think that I'll forget, and then I immediately write them down as soon as I get into the exam. So right before, as I'm walking in.
When you are preparing for an exam, do you spend time guessing how the professor might bring questions and innovate new ones of your own, or do you just stick to the practice problems and grill through them?
I think if you know the course material well enough, it really doesn't matter how the test is broken down, how it looks. One thing I will say is that if you have an example, you should probably use that and go off of that. But I don't think there's really much to planning, timing. I have a strict thing that I do every single test, no matter how it's broken down. So in order, and I don't really pay attention to timing. If I get stuck, I just move on and come back to it. But there's no reason to guess as long as you know the material well enough.
If you do not have enough time, how much should you spend time on a topic before you move on to the next?
Until you get it. I'm a big proponent of studying something until you can't get it wrong, not when you get it right. I usually judge not being able to get it wrong as 3 times in a row of different questions.
How do you keep track of so many subjects, especially if you don't get to go to all the classes all the time?
Lecture recordings, asking people for notes is not ideal because they're writing down what they think was important. But if there are no lecture recordings, ask your friends for notes. If you don't know anyone in the class, meet someone the next time and then ask them for their notes. And then in terms of balancing them all, study each class every day. Don't just spend one day doing one topic. There's also something called interleaving, which helps you remember better. It's a phenomenon where if you do multiple things in one study session, it'll help you learn faster.
How would you say you make learning fun and hold yourself accountable, especially when the thing you're learning is so hard and you kind of hate your life for it?
Absolutely fantastic question. People like things that they are good at, and people are often good at things that they like. Usually it's the former, where people like things that they're good at. So if you don't like something, odds are you probably just aren't good enough at it. Beat it until you get it, because then you will start liking it, or at least you won't dislike it.
What would you say is the minimum amount of energy that you need to have to actually study properly?
You can't quantify it. If you feel okay, you're good to go. If you get distracted more than once every 5 minutes or so, you're probably not doing very well.
When would you say is the best time of day to study, regardless of when you wake up?
I don't think it can be independent of your sleep cycle. What I will say is that there's nothing special about waking up early, but there absolutely is something special about studying after your longest block of sleep. So regardless of when that is, I would recommend studying when you wake up. You're going to be the freshest, you're going to have all of that brain waste cleared, and you're going to be thinking sharp, maybe just after caffeine.
How do you not lose hope in your abilities to push till the end? A lot of people are capable, but they just lack that self-belief.
There's something called the central governor model, mainly in sports, but the belief that you will finish something allows you to finish it. When I heard that, I was just like, it's unacceptable for me not to believe. Whether you can or can't, believing it will make it more likely to occur.